Good morning, good morning, good morning on this Freedom Friday. Good morning on this Freedom Friday. Just wanted to come in as I was driving. Running a little late because I don't feel my best. Cold trying to come, trying to defeat it. But I wanted to come and just share the morning motivation. Last night God began to speak, and he was just sharing with me the insight of what 2025 is going to be for self-love ministry. And as I woke up this morning and I was sitting at my kitchen table, I began to write down some of the things that he shared with me. And he shared with me that 2025 is going to be a year of transition for those of us that truly believe, for those of us that truly desire it, for those of us who are expecting, who have a sense of expectation that God is going to do something wonderful in our lives in 2025. If we believe, if we trust, if we have faith, if we do the work, if we dedicate the effort, if we stay the course, if we adhere to the process, it's going to happen, y'all. It's going to happen. As I was driving, God said, Keisha, tell them or ask them, will they trust me with that one thing? Tell them to trust me with that one thing. It could be a list of things, but what's that one thing that you really need God to do in 2025? What's that one thing that's really been standing in the way? What's that one thing? God began to speak the word blockage last week to me. What's that one thing that you feel has been blocking your blessings? That one thing that just has been standing in the way. And God is saying through me this morning that if you trust me with that one thing that's been blocking, that you know been blocking, that one thing that's been standing in the way, that one thing that you know you have no power, no capability, no control of doing it all by yourself. God says, if you trust me with that one thing, or it could be several things, but at least one thing, I promise you that in 2025, he'll do it. I promise you that in 2025, it must shift. I promise you that in 2025, if you adhere to the process, you give God complete control, you eliminate every possibility of you having your hands on it, and you give it to him, I promise you, 2025 will be a year of transition for you. 2025 will be something exciting for you. God just began to share so much about the visions that he gave me for this year. And yesterday he even began to speak into 2026. And I tell you, as I began to sit at my table this morning and I began to write down something that God gave me for my conference, and I began my conference that I did back in July. Then I began to think about that thing as I was driving. God began to share with me. He began to give me the illustration at my conference. He gave me the illustration to do with a loaf of bread. And I had a loaf of bread. And with that loaf of bread, he said, Keisha, share with them the example of the bread of life. I was like, okay. And he said, take the bread, the whole loaf. He said, pull a piece out and let them understand that that one piece that you pull out represents them. That the loaf represents the environment, represents the thing, represents the place, represents whatever that is unhealthy, that is toxic, that is disturbing, that is discouraging, that is disappointing, that is breaking them, that is blocking their unhappiness, that keeps them in a space of sadness and sorrow. The loaf is the blockage. The slice is us. And God says, he said, allow them to see Allow them to see. Allow them to see that I took them out of the environment, the very thing that was unhealthy for them, the very thing that was damaging them, the very thing that was toxic and dysfunction to them. I took them. And before I took them out and I placed them, gave them a new start, he said, I blessed them. I took them and then I blessed them. I blessed them because I knew that once I placed them in this particular new space, that they were going to be tested, that experiences were going to come, that tests were going to come, that things were going to come that was going to break them. And then he said, after I broke them, then I gave them. I gave them a testimony. I gave them a new way of seeing things. I gave them new speech. I gave them a new walk. I gave them new visions. I gave them a new mindset. I gave them a new purpose. I gave them new feelings. I gave them a new heart, new spirit, new soul, new mind. I took them. Took them out of the environment. Took them. I blessed them. I strengthened them because I knew that before I placed them where they needed to be to get the things that they needed to get, so that my will could begin to be activated over their life, I had to bless them. I had to strengthen them. I had to strengthen them for the breaking. I had to strengthen them for the breaking. Then after the breaking, I gave them something. And God gave me that July of 2024. And I tell you, it is not until I understand the last two parts. See, I understand that he took, and I understood that he strengthened. But he gave me those four things. But at that very moment, I did not understand the breaking. And I did not understand the giving, the gave, until now, until the last 6 months of 2024, being broken so bad, being broken so much, so many experiences, so many tests, so many attacks, that now I realize what he'd given me. Gave me a testimony. Gave me a new walk, gave me a new journey, gave me new insight, new perspective, new growth, new testimony, new journey. Everything new in 2025. God's going to do it for you. He's going to do it for you if you trust him. Will you give him that one thing so that he can take that one thing? He can bless that one thing. Begin to break you in the midst of that one thing. And then give you something to walk fresh, new, replenished, and defined within that one thing. I pray that this message this morning will be an inspiration and encouragement to somebody who really needs it. 2025, self-love ministry. Man, the visions that God has been giving me is going deep. It's going deep. It's going deep. It's going to get real. That's all I can say. It's going to get real in 2025 with self-love ministry. So stay close. Be blessed. I love you. And until next time, be safe.